Now, for this one, back on the Mevo camera, but I'm going to use the onboard mic because I'm so close to it. And I think that'll make a difference. Assuming, of course, that it actually turns on. The funny thing is I do this every time and I wait, and then, well, there we go. The waiting is useless. Anyway, in case the recording had already started, welcome back to Morning Coffee number 34. Today is Thursday, January the 3rd. A lot of thirr going on today. Turn that on. So yeah, I'm excited. It's good to get back in the swing of things. You know, some of the stuff I talked about yesterday, talking about like the differences between the way people look at the world. It's very interesting because even myself, in different times in my life, I look at the world differently. Like I see potential differently, and I see myself differently. And so it's been kind of interesting to go through the process of, you know, sort of discussing some of that stuff with myself and going through that process, which has been good. The crazy thing too is as I go into this new year, I've mentioned before that the holidays are pretty terrible for freelancers. Everything sort of shuts down, and it's really hard to get new business, and it's really hard to like get people to respond to you and all sorts of stuff. But as I go into the new year and I start to realign my priorities, like I get kind of it's interesting how I am more and more convinced. Convinced, I think maybe isn't the right word because that kind of sounds like I came to it myself. I'm more and more won over with the idea that I have to keep myself, like I have to be specific in what I do. Because even so, yesterday I got up and I have this. I've talked about this guy before, but I have this planner that I kind of got away from using, which in and of itself. So I mean, earlier this year, I guess I started it in October. Yeah, October 3rd was the first day that I started this particular calendar, and I kind of like got into it and then left it, and then got into it a little bit more and then left it. Like it was really good until I guess maybe I started a new one. That's weird. Anyway, I was good about using it for a couple of weeks, and then I got away from it. And I think part of that is because I allowed myself to get caught up in activities that took away too much of my time, and it's so hard to like find the line between do I like we talk about so I talked about this a bit yesterday. So the whole idea of hustle, right? So this is a Gary Vaynerchuk idea. Just work. Keep going, keep doing. You got plenty of time in you. And his whole thing is like, there's 24 hours in a day. You need 6 to sleep. You need 2 for your family. So there's another 16 hours there, 18 hours there, whatever the math is, where you can do stuff. So he's all about like 10, 11, 12, 15, 16-hour days and just go. And I don't mind that. I have the stamina to do those days. I think the problem is it's very easy to get into a rut, especially in the freelancers world where you are CEO, you are head of sales, you are head of fulfillment, and you're head of customer support. And so it can get very easy to like want to dive into like fulfillment for a day and just go right into like, oh, I got a bunch of stuff I got to do. But that puts you a day behind on your CEO duties and on your sales duties and on your support duties. And so it actually turns out that you don't like working 16-hour days doesn't actually solve the problem. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse because you have put all this energy and effort in, and now I think by default, humans, we kind of expect some reprieve from the work that we put in. But if you've only been working in one area of your business for 36 straight hours, and then suddenly you want to take a break, Like you can't really be surprised when you don't have any money, because freelancers unfortunately don't make money delivering on the services that uh, they they provide. They make money selling them, and then they lose money every minute they spend delivering the services. And I used to think that was just agencies. I used to use that as like this is why you should hire me instead of an agency. But the truth is, every freelancer that has a service or is trading, anybody who's trading time for money, it loses money the minute they start doing what you pay them for. Because that's what it is. It's like, I'm going to get as much money out as a freelancer. My job is to get as much money out of you as possible and do the least work possible. Because if I'm trading time for money, then I don't want my time to be worth nothing, because I want to have the rest of my life that I can live. So it's just interesting. And my whole life, my whole career has been kind of I've been losing the battle of proper time management in that sense, because I am a doer. Um, I get very excited about solving problems. I don't get excited about selling people things. I don't get excited about going back to a problem that I've already solved and having to explain for different contexts, like how it works or why or any of that kind of stuff. I'm like a give me a problem, give me a time frame, I'll solve it, 100%. I'll solve it, and then I just want the next problem to be on my desk. And it's hard because I'm not really employable in the sense that I don't want to do anything except for that. I want to solve problems, and I want to be given the space to go solve problems, and I want to be the one that determines which problems get my attention based on what I'm interested in. And the issue is, I have never been in a situation where my interests aligned wholly and completely with whoever owned the business. So part of my problem is that I have not yet discovered or figured out or found a person or system that perfectly aligns with what I want to do. And so it makes it difficult. And that's probably similar for anybody else that's watching that's a freelancer or that does any consulting or anything like that. It's hard to go find other people that align with what you're trying to do from a philosophical standpoint, mostly because we don't talk about those things. It's all just how can we make money and what can we do, and are we making enough money, and et cetera, et cetera. And so it's very difficult to really be in an optimum position to be able to deliver services, because you have to be that person. And being that person takes away, like, you literally have to put on, it's not even just putting on a different hat. You have to become a different person. Because, like, it's ironic, because in order to be the guy who delivers the best quality service, you have to be paired with a guy who delivers the best quality sales experience, because the whole thing has to fit. Otherwise, it's disjointed. But in order to shift, in order to like go from being the best one that does something to being the best one that sells something, you have to make such a massive shift. And it's not like it's impossible to make that shift. I make that shift all the time. The problem is it's hard to go in the course of a day to go from I'm sales, 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 and then into delivery, 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 delivery. That's kind of where the issue comes in. And so, you run into, as a freelancer, you run into issues where if you go too long in just one area of your business, then the rest, like I said before, the rest of it just sort of crumbles and falls apart, and it becomes a real issue. And that's kind of what I've been struggling with the last couple of months. Is I'm like, I actually had a conversation with a couple of people that what should happen. Somebody should start an agency, but it's like a talent agency for internet marketing automation consultants. So instead of me as a consultant needing to go out and be the salesperson for myself, I think about in the talent world in like Hollywood, the actors don't sell themselves. I mean, initially they do, but the way that the whole system is structured, actors sell themselves to agents. Agents then sell the actor. The agent's job is to go out and find all the work And the actor's job is to show up and do the work and do a good job and make the agent look good. Essentially, the agent will keep the actor on as long as they're doing good work, right? So it's almost like the actor works for the agency and the agency works for the studio. The studio, in this analogy, would be like the business. So I had this conversation with some friends, and it's really frustrating because I could be a really good agent in this scenario, like the person who's talking to the business owner and matching them up with, okay, you need this consultant to do this, and you need this team to do that, and you need this developer to build this thing. Boom, go. But the problem is I also am really good at I would really love to be like the actor in that situation. Love the talent. The talent is going to make more money in the short term. The whole idea of being able to work on projects like that is somebody else manages the expectations, and then you just sort of show up, and the contract says, like, somebody else creates the contract, you sign off on the contract and just show up and do the thing that you signed off on. But there isn't something like that for us. There's no agency like that set up. And I would love for something like that to exist. The problem is I have a trillion other things that I'm trying to do right now. So it's hard for me to go and do it. Like, I would much rather be just on the talent side and have somebody else set it up. Because I've got this app that I'm building, and then I've got this content that I'm trying to put together, and other pieces. And so it's kind of difficult. And every day that I think about it, I kind of switch positions and think, well, maybe actually it would be better if I shifted gears and just put together the agency, because essentially the agency makes money when a deal happens. They're like a recruitment agency, right? Except it's temporary. All of it's temporary, because business owners don't really you don't really need a dedicated. I mean, you kind of need a semi-dedicated resource, but you don't need somebody full-time. You definitely don't need to be paying, the rates that agencies will charge you to manage their stuff every month. Like, you kind of need to get some stuff set up, and then you need somebody that can come back in and knows how that person set it up and can make modifications if necessary and can look at the numbers. Like, really, you just need setup and then reporting. And then when something's off with the reporting, you need someone you can go to who can read the reporting and can go make a change. But if you have two different delivery people, like builders or doers, that are part of the same agency, then you can build it so that those people understand the build process and all that stuff. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting how it's not cut and dry. It's not very straightforward. And as a freelancer, the path to financial freedom, so to speak, it's really never straight. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you got to go around, and that's really been my experience. Even when I've had jobs, that's really been my experience. Is that it's just difficult to find the right path and to do the right, to know exactly what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go and how it's all supposed to work out. So that's a total tangent, and I know we're in the middle of that long story, and I just sort of pulled myself out of it. We'll get back into it a little bit more tomorrow as we get into next week. But it's just interesting how you go into something thinking that it's a certain way, and then you realize that no matter how much you think that it's a certain way, if it's not that way, that's what it comes out to. And I have a very specific point that I'm not really making very well with that, which is even if you think, like, no matter how much you think that something is a certain way, like no matter how much I think, oh, I make $250 an hour, right? The truth is, I actually mentioned this when I was on Kelsey Bradsher's podcast several months ago. The truth is, billing at $250 an hour is different than making $250 an hour. Because in our heads, we're equating how much we bill with the standard 8-hour work week. But if you bill $250 an hour, the likelihood is you're not billing 8 hours at $250 an hour. The likelihood is you're billing maybe 3, maybe 4 per week. The rest of it is taken up with administrative stuff, running ads, consults, talking with people, all that kind of stuff. And it's not, I don't think it's the right way to go about it. So anyway, now that I've actually talked my way through this, I have a little bit more excitement about going back to the agency thing. So I may set something up on that. But anyway, I mentioned yesterday, podcast for this season is going to start not today, obviously, and probably not next week, but I think the week after that. And as I mentioned, it's going to be musical podcast, so I'm gonna complete my album and start releasing the process of completing the album via the podcast. And I think probably one of the morning coffees during the week, maybe even a Thursday when the podcast comes out, I'll feature some footage from that. It'll be fun. Anywho, coffee's about done. Day's about to start. I will see you all tomorrow.